Clowntown continues with another killer clown movie called Drive-Thru, which came out in 2007. This one is a horror comedy, and it actually did well on both fronts. This movie starts out with a group of people going to Helleberger. They speak with an urban vernacular. I am told that it is disrespectful to refer to people of European descent who speak with an urban vernacular, grew up in an urban environment, or deeply identify with hip-hop culture as Wiggers. I'm told that that is deeply disrespectful, and that's why I said that they speak with an urban vernacular. So anyways, this car full of Wiggers pulls up to the Helleberger, and after the employee actually calls them Wiggers and insults them, two of them go into the restaurant to confront them, and they get killed. The killer clown inside is a personification of that restaurant's mascot. It would be kind of like if you went to McDonald's and Ronald McDonald killed you. I like that the killing starts right away. Just about not even 4 minutes into the movie, we get at least 3 kills, and the gore is pretty good. The clown talks a lot of crap, and there's a lot of gore, and I feel like this is gonna be my kind of movie. Another group of people is playing with Ouija board, and I'm like, what could possibly go wrong? The main character, Mackenzie, is talking to her boyfriend about him going away to college, and I'm sitting here thinking, these are supposed to be teenagers. They look an easy 30 years old. I mean, you can't even pass. This is not even... We will suspend our disbelief. Anyway, he says, one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. I have to go to New York because there's nothing I can do in SoCal. If you don't know, SoCal stands for Southern California. Southern California is arguably very comparable to New York as far as what you can do. I mean, it's not like he's from East Hartford, Connecticut, like me, where I walked past a cornfield high school every day. The buses run once an hour and stopped running at 6 p.m. We used to have 2 movie theaters. Now there's no movie theaters. It still has no Walmart, Target, or even Starbucks. Your career aspirations are limited to the educational system, Pratt & Whitney, if that's still open, insurance companies, or hospitals. I once had an internship in an insurance company in Connecticut, and one day Bob wore a pink tie to the office. And you know what the talk of the office was? Hey, did you see Bob's tie? Oh yeah, it was a bright tie. Hey Bob, that's quite a tie you have on. And all day, did you see Bob's tie? This is excitement there. That's a place where you can't do much. And I'm not crapping on my hometown, or my de facto hometown, I'm calling it that because I lived in 7 different towns growing up, but East Hartford was the one that I lived in for the most consecutive years, so that's my de facto hometown. And I'm not trying to completely knock it. There were some good things about it. Like, it's a place where an 11-year-old girl could ride her bicycle around all over town pretty much safely. I learned tennis, croquet, badminton, archery, and horseback riding. Western style, if you're interested. There were Pumpkin Fest, Apple Fest, 3 public libraries, and multiple video stores. We had Video America, Blockbuster, one that I can't remember the name of it that was on Silver Lane, and Video Magic, which might have actually been on the border of Manchester and not in East Hartford. And we had the best Halloweens for kids. We had haunted hay rides, cornfield mazes, lots of trick-or-treating, and I had the type of neighbors that gave full-size candy bars. That was the best Halloween for a kid in the 80s and the 90s. Orlando, hands down, has the best Halloween for adults. And I've been in New York and Miami during Halloween, and they don't hold a candle to Orlando during Halloween. Although I do have an inkling that New Orleans probably would give Orlando a run for its money. I haven't been there during Halloween, but I just have a feeling that it would. I guess that line hella triggered me. Hella is such a Cali word. I might use hella more during this. Hella in Cali is like wicked or mad in New England or the tri-state area. The dialogue was hella snappy. The news reports about one of the teens that I mentioned in the very first scene with the car going to the Helleberger getting killed, and as one of the other teens is watching this news story, he actually says, dumbass Wicker probably got his cap peeled back by some real gangbangers. Also, there's a line where a guy tells a girl to calm down, and he tells her to relax, and she says, you try to relax with Ronald McStalker on your ass. I like stuff like that in dialogue. One of the girls had those bodega slippers on. I don't know if you remember the ones from the early 2000s that came in every single like pastel color or bright color, and they kind of look like a basket weave on top, and it had sequins and beads, but I don't know what they're really called. I call them bodega slippers, but she had those on, and it was like a flashback to 2002. There was a hey, it's that guy moment with the janitor who I cannot remember the actor's name, but he's the same guy that played the kid who was crawling through the walls, who had his tongue cut off in The People Under the Stairs. I think his name was Mal in that movie, but he played a janitor in this movie. And also, I think that was Morgan Spurlock, the dude that did Super Size Me, working in the Helleberger restaurant. Funny thing about the guy that I just mentioned from The People Under the Stairs, I used to think he was the same guy as the guy that played Evil in Fright Night. I don't even know why, because now when I look at them as an adult, I'm like, they don't look anything alike, but their characters kind of similar. Did I already say that this movie had creative kills? It did. You know how I was just now complaining, what was it called? Fraternity Massacre on Hell Island, about how all the kills were just everyone getting stabbed. This was the opposite of that. Every kill was creative and unique. This is one of the better modern slashers that I've seen to date. The golden era of slasher movies for me is usually 1975 to 1985. Anything after that is usually kind of lame. So it's hard to find a good modern slasher movie, and this was actually a good modern slasher movie. Speaking of golden era, the opposite of the golden era for slashers would be the worst era for slashers, which is the early 2000s, with that crap like I Know What You Did Last Summer. I'm sorry if you like that movie, but that was garbage. If you grew up watching that, that's super cute, but might I direct you to Sleepaway Camp, The Burning, real slasher movies so you can know what it's supposed to be like. This movie actually captures the beauty of those 1975 to 1985 slasher movies, but in a modern setting. The killer wanted revenge for a grave injustice done to him. Remember how I said that that was one of those things that was necessary? You're either gonna make them have a motivation for revenge, or you're gonna make them psycho for psycho's sake. He had a smart-ass persona similar to Freddy Krueger or Killjoy. He had creative kills, which they showed, no cutaways. The gore was entertaining, as was the teen's dialogue. Okay, let's talk a few technical aspects. I already mentioned that the practical effects look good. I had no issues with the soundtrack or the lighting. The acting was pretty good as well. Really, this should have been released in theaters. I wish that it had been released in theaters. It was good enough to be. I'm giving this a 7.5 out of 10 for enjoyment, and I hope they make a sequel. I'm gonna go watch Stitches, and I will let you know how that turned out in a minute. Stitches is an Irish slasher film. This is actually only the second Irish horror movie that I've ever watched. I think the first one was called Grabbers. It's a film about a killer clown out for revenge. He accidentally gets killed by some badass kids at a children's party, and when they're teenagers, he comes back for revenge. The film starts out with the children's party, of course, with these kids that are approximately 9 or 10 years old. I couldn't remember if they showed the child's age on the cake. I didn't notice it, but they look about 9 or 10 years old. Two of the kids are really bad, and they do some stuff that ultimately gets Stitches killed. Then the film cuts to the teens being about 16 or 17 years old, and what I like about how they reintroduce the teens is when they show each teen, a pop-up appears with their picture as they looked as a child and their name, so that we know which character corresponds to which character, which helped me out since most of the guys, if not, I think, yeah, all but one of the guys had dark hair and dark eyes, and same thing with the girl. So other than, you know, a little bit of their body build being different, they looked kind of similar. Off the bat, even though two of them were bully type jerks, I liked all of the teens in this. I liked each one's personality, and they each had a very distinct personality. Our main protagonist, Tommy, is planning a birthday party, and he hands out invitations to some of his friends at school. One of his friends is at home, and his invitation blows out the window and lands on Stitch's grave, which prompts Stitches to come up out of his grave to exact his revenge. Yeah, this seems ridiculous, but I'm allowing it because at least it's something different and creative. The humor in this is really good. The principal had this awful comb over that it's the worst purposeful comb over that I've ever seen. And I know it's meant to be that way for comedic effect, but the kids have this social media site called MyFace. Get it? Like MySpace and Facebook? Well, it was just made as a setup for a joke. See, Tommy didn't invite Sarah or Paul to his birthday party. So at one point, Sarah and Paul confront him in the hallway. When they confront him in the hallway, Sarah says, "I saw your event page. You invited everyone to come on my face." See what they did there? At one point, there was a really good false scare. It was great because there was no loud bong cue accompaniment, and that's what made it work. Let's talk about the gore. Somebody had their dick and balls ripped off, and I was here for it. That was executed so well, I rewound it and watched it again. There is dismemberment. There is a great kill scene that's set to Cutting Crew's I Just Died in Your Arms Tonight. There's a great kill scene involving an umbrella that reminds me of something similar that happened in Friday the 13th 3D, except it was executed even better in this movie. And what I'll call the big head scene. And if you've seen the movie, you know what I mean by the big head scene. Every kill was creative and well executed. The practical effects were top notch. Super impressive. Respect to the effects team on this one. Man, I wish the US wasn't so lame and actually released foreign movies in the movie theaters, because this movie would have been so fun to watch at a midnight showing at the movie theater. I'm giving this movie an 8 out of 10 for enjoyment, but don't take my word for it. Just because I love something doesn't mean you won't hate it, and just because I hate something doesn't mean you won't love it. So if you've seen this movie, let me know what you thought about it.